that business has like 20x since the beginning of this year. Having that virtual environment where you can get sick like that and just like, you know, you might be less productive, at least you're doing something.
You could get something done.
Or like in my case, you know, I had a child 6 days ago and I don't know, I'm still able to work and have completely flexible schedule.
I can hear your child right now.
Can you hear in the background? Yeah. That might be just some new, we'll call it audio texture. We'll, it's going to be, it's going to be in the background of podcasts from time to time.
Yeah, dude. Tell your wife to feed him, dude. He's hungry.
I know. She's neglecting him down there. What can I say?
I figured as much. Congratulations. You now have child. What's been your number one epiphany, Mike? Sorry to throw the loop for...
having a child so far in the first 6 days?
Yeah.
Nah, that's all right. We can skip the intro. Like nobody cares about that.
They fast forward through that anyway.
Like I do on most podcasts I listen to.
Welcome back to another episode of the Collecting Keys podcast.
Yeah. So my wife had our first child last Friday. So as of recording like 6 days ago, it's always tough because I don't really come from like a family with a lot of kids. So I don't have a ton of exposure to like other like newborns, but he's been extremely easy so far. And so I would say like my main epiphany is that if you are a prepared person, you know, and I've been very intentional about being able to make money and having like a flexible schedule and kind of like a flexible day to day, the transition actually hasn't been that challenging. I mean, the sleep thing's always tough, but that's kind of like inevitable. And even then we're fortunate that my wife and we're on kind of like the same page where she's kind of just like running with a lot of that. But then like the trade-off is during the day, like I'll hang out with the baby for a few hours so she can catch up on sleep. But it's funny, both of our parents came and visited in the past week. And I think both sets of parents were very surprised at just like how put together we were and how organized we are. Because like honestly, it's not that big of a deal so far. I think it'll be tougher when he's kind of moving and more active. But for right now, I don't know. I always hear people talk about how unbelievably hard a child is, and again, I only have this one singular experience, but it hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, you're in a good spot though. You're in probably sleepy baby phase.
I think so.
What you should do is the complicated is add 2.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I can totally see that. But also too, like my wife and I, we communicate well. You know, she doesn't work. She like has her art stuff that she does. She doesn't have like a job that requires her time or has any expectations ever beyond that. So there's no like mental baggage.
Yeah.
I also think that's the thing too. If people are like leaving a job to go on maternity leave, they're like taking leave from that and they're like working up until like the day that they give birth. There is like a mental transitionary period to get out of that.
Oh, sure, dude. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whereas like my wife has been able to spend the last like month and a bit just preparing for.
My wife and I were both pharmacists, and like you literally have to physically be at the store. Like it would have been a lot harder than what we do now, where she's work from home, and obviously I had the flexibility of the business. It would have been much more difficult. But like you said, Mike, we were intentional from the beginning about all of it, from decisions made years ago, and I think that's what people need to hear.
Totally. Well, also too, I think just being personally more mature. I mean, I'm 34, my wife's 32. We're like adults, right? It's not like we're 24 and had a kid and now we're like dealing with the FOMO of like all of our friends out like doing stuff. We've kind of already done a lot of shit, you know? And so it's not like that big of a deal to slow down a little bit and just focus on this. Honestly, the most clutch thing has been being able to move forward and just like cancel pretty much every meeting that I didn't want to have over the next couple of weeks. That's been so awesome. I've had some people that are like, they'll like reach out and like want to have calls and I just go, no, I just had a child and nobody's ever going to argue with you on that.
Yeah, no, they can't. They can't.
Yeah. So I just cleared my calendar for like the next month, except for like work stuff or like stuff like this that I want to do. And that's been super, super nice.
But that's solid. Honestly, too, like when the newborn-ish and like you're going to come up on Thanksgiving and then Christmas, like it kind of slows down a little bit anyway. So that's good timing.
But welcome to Collecting Keys, guys. Real estate show. Talk about family, business, and, you know, actually being an entrepreneur that has a lifestyle as well as just, I don't know, hustle grind, even though that's not as sexy of a thing. I always feel like with real estate stuff, it's always either people that are obsessed with like too much balance or it's like completely the opposite, which isn't like realistic.
Yeah, there's no middle ground.
Middle ground.
Well, there might just be no middle ground on the media platforms, right? Like that,
for sure.
That you can't really like. I have a great work-life balance.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the end of the discussion.
Well, most people, like, if that's their message, it's because they don't do fucking anything. And that's what they're trying to sell you. They're like, this is my work-life balance. I wake up at 6, I work for 30 minutes, then I wake up my kids, then I feed them, then I take them to school, then I hang out with my wife, then I hit a workout, then I do whatever. Now it's 3:00. I check emails again, and now my day is done.
Well, the one thing I'll steal from Brandon Turner, which I like this back in the day, was it's not work-life balance, it's work-life balancing. And you're going to have different seasons of, okay, this season it's work more, and other times the seasons will be family more. As long as you're not work balls to the wall all the time, I feel like that's perfectly okay.
For sure. Yeah. And then if you're, don't necessarily have like the daily challenges like that, I would always like the old Tim Ferriss sort of mantra of having like what he would call mini retirements, where basically you work very, very focused and intensely for a period of time, but that allows you to take a extended period of time off, regardless of what that means for you, whether that's like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. You just kind of need to get yourself into a position where you can do that and it doesn't disrupt things or, put you into a bad spot. Especially
in this business, because like you can burn out quick. I've been on the edge a couple of times. Like you gotta take the gas off the pedal sometimes. But.
Yeah. It's the worst in this business too, just because the lows are so low and the highs are so high, and you never really know like when they're going to come, because you can have like 8 highs in a row. Right. And then one low and then 8 more highs in a row. And it's great. Or you can just have a low for an entire year and you just don't even know that you're ever going to get out of it. But you just kind of have to keep beating your head against the wall.
Keep grinding. I walked 2 houses today and both of them are in the top 5 grossest houses I've ever been.
Well, that's fun.
Which is like surprising for the same day. Right. Like, so the one I was like, I literally came home and I took a shower and then I'm going back to another one as soon as this podcast is over.
Yeah, that's gross.
We'll see how that one is.
Those are the worst. It's one of those ones where you get out and you can like smell it on you. You can just like smell the air from the house.
Yeah. I didn't even want to get in my car. I'm like, I wish I would have a spare change of clothes to change into.
Yeah.
That's gross.
There was one I went to and I like touched like something in the house and I got like hives.
Oh, I'm not
like
surprised.
My forearm. And like, I didn't know if it was like bed bugs or whatever, but like I could like see them like spreading and I was like so afraid to like touch anything because I was like, I don't want to like put it on my car. So I literally like I drove home like with my arm up like this, like watching like the hives like spread down my arm, like some kind of like scarab disease from the mummy, I could like see it and I was like, didn't want to spread it. Then I get home and I was like, make sure my wife didn't come near me because I didn't want to like.
There's times where I've gotten undressed in my garage because I'm like, I don't want to bring this shit in.
God damn it. And you just think those people live in that. They're like in that every day.
Yeah, that blows my freaking mind.
They're immune, dude. They're like the one that's immune from the cordyceps virus. Like they just live in the filth. It doesn't bother them.
Well, it's like the gradual thing. You can give yourself snake venom like very gradually until you build up a tolerance. They start off clean and then it gets dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. Yeah.
That's a very bold assumption. I think half those people, they move into the house and then just it turns into filth like a week later.
Good news is I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot when I'm doing some of these, but one of the ones I walked today, I brought a buyer with me, which I like to do just because it makes the logistics easier. And they're going to buy it. So I already have it signed. Like the deal's easy. But I also know at the same time that if I were to mass market this deal and send it out, I could probably get 5-10 grand more, but I'm taking the easier route on this one. And just like, because this one has tenants in it. And so I'm just like, getting back through would be a nightmare. I know this buyer will close. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer there, but it's what I'm doing.
When you reach a certain phase of business, which you're definitely at, I think that there is a opportunity cost for the effort, right? That you need to take into consideration sometimes, especially if you've been, I would say like busier or if you've had more periods of uncertainty. Sometimes you just need to take like the guaranteed win as opposed to trying to squeeze out 5 or 10 more and then putting yourself into a period that you might not get that. I would say that's like a defensive play, which is totally valid. The same thing applies if you're super busy and if you're trying to do like 6 or 8 deals at the same time and you're a small shop and you're just like, I just need somebody to take these so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Sure, you're giving up money, but that's like always a good example of, I would say there's kind of 2 constraints that can be showed there. If it's like the first one where you kind of need the easy win to pay your bills, there's probably a little bit of balance that you need to figure out just in terms of like your finances and your cash flows. But if it's the other side, if it's a time constraint to get those done, it probably just means you need to build out your team and process a little bit better.
Well, Angie's the buyer is buying these with tenants in place. So that's going to be her problem.
Nice.
I would have to probably buy them, get the tenants out, clean it out, and then sell it. I'd probably just list it at that point. So you're looking another probably 60 days before that, cash converts. So
at least.
Yeah, at least. So I don't know. That's the route I'm taking on this one. And it's a good buyer. So hopefully we'll sell her more deals in the future.
Yeah, perfect.
So I went to this coffee shop after I showed these places today. And I was kind of just like dinking around in RE Simply. And I went into the dialer function. And I don't know if I've known this for a while and just ignored it, but there's an inbox part of the dialer. So my lead manager's role when she's done with her task is she's supposed to cold call out the dialer. And so I went into the dialer and I had over 1,300 unread messages, like past calls, past text. And I'm like, what is this? And I started like going through some of these replies, and I'm telling you, I'm through like 3 pages, which is only like 30 of the responses. And I bet there's 50 grand that this didn't account for, because some of the responses range from obviously take me out of the lift, stop, go fuck yourself, to like, can you stop a foreclosure? How much are you offering? Yes, I need to sell. I was going to list it. Like this response is like that. And it's like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh my God. But these responses are 2, 3, 4 weeks old.
Yeah. And
so I'm just like, fuck. So I'm starting to go through them all and like push them back and push them to my acquisitions guys. So I'm hoping we can still turn some of these into deals. But for anyone that's out there that did the same mistake I did, which ultimately is my fault, use that as a learning experience.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the important lesson there is to make sure that you're obviously dropping voicemails if people are responding like that. Because like when we've traditionally cold called, we haven't done that. So you're dropping voicemails, are you sending texts, or like why would they be responding with like how much?
She does leave a voicemail. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that the big lesson is to make sure that at the end of every day, if you are giving some kind of like call to action or prompt, that you are actually checking for responses to that. This is my biggest knock with like every sort of like CRM or phone system. And a lot of it's because of the 10 DLC stuff that came around. It's really hard to get like reliable like responses or notifications, things on text messages, especially when it gets convoluted with everything else. RE Simply is notoriously bad for that. I really like RE Simply as a platform for the business, but the texting notifications and different things could definitely use a lot of work, especially in that regard.
Well, that's the thing. There is no notification. It just shows up in the inbox like that.
There's no notification at all? Like there's nothing that goes out?
No, like even the bell icon on the top right, there's nothing.
Nice. That sucks.
Yeah, you just have to go into the dialer and assume and then go through. And so even if you know you called the same 50 people, there's not even a good way to filter through that by like when they called you back. So that like, yes, it needs work, but still.
They're like the perfect example of a software company that was just grasping at new stuff to try and get people interested.
To make it an all-in-one CRM is what they want. Yeah.
Instead of just getting really good at like one thing, because they've had so much dumb shit they've done over the years. They've had like the driving for dollars thing. I'm like, nobody fucking uses that. Right. And then they're trying to get into like the data game, but it's like so limited, but it like kind of tries to force you to use some of like their data. I'm like, just be like a Kanban CRM system, keep the price cheaper, like, and then integrate with other companies. It'll be way better.
Remember when they tried to charge like $1,000 a line for blue text messages or something dumb?
I think they can still do that if you want to.
I'm not doing that.
You just got to be one of the smooth brains that think that makes that much of a difference. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. There's always people that are like, oh, you can absolutely get better response rates with that. That just tells me that you kind of suck at what you're doing. Like if you really think that that's going to be the game changer in your business is having blue text boxes.
The one thing in the dialer though is you can see on one of the columns of what like list or tag they are. And a lot of them are like, foreclosures or stuff like that, because we cold call that list a lot.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'll report back on how many of these I can end up saving, or how many probably by this point are going to go to somebody else because we've been so delayed on getting back to them.
For sure. But well, you live and you learn, but it's at least you won't do that again in the future. And there's plenty of people in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And more hurt coming.
Yeah. How you doing over there, Dan? Mr. Silent Sniffles.
No, I don't give a shit about blue text messages, texting at all, because Mike and I are out of the game, so we don't really care.
God damn.
Yeah. Well, I just saw your message.
I wasn't sure if you want to talk about that today. Yeah, we officially was it last week? Yeah, last Thursday, we officially stepped out of our home buying company.
We'll just tell people the honest truth.
That's big news.
That is big news. I know. Dan just fucking threw that out there. I was like, I feel like we should have a conversation about that, but that's fine. We sort of have built this platform around our wholesaling and flipping business, our backyard home buyers business. And then last Thursday, it was the day before my wife was supposed to have our kid. And we were kind of looking at schedule changes and kind of the way everything was going. And we had a decent lull in that business just because we had deals closing out and we had just accepted offers on some flips and stuff that we had. And we decided to just pull the cord and move on, mostly because our lending business has been doing so well. And that's taken so much of our time. Like that business has like 20x since the beginning of this year now at this point. And it just no longer made sense for I would say the effort and the financial risk that existed there when we can do our lending stuff and have significantly less risk, less overhead, more opportunity. And just the momentum was moving that way.
The context of that too is when Mike and I scaled down our national brand, as you know, Dylan, we brought on partners to run the day-to-day for us here in Spokane. Mm-hmm. And it was quite evident, Mike and I, when Mike talks about financial risks, we are the financial benefactor of that situation. And so, taking some asymmetrical risks of our finances, and we're not, 100% control of it because we do have partners. And I think the timing was really good with our lending business scaling up. And the reason why we took on partners was so we could scale up the lending business and keep doing that. Mm-hmm. And it worked out great, actually, as far as timing goes.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big lessons that we learned as well with that, so we had a multi-partner, there's actually 4 partners in this thing. And the challenge with that comes when you have partners that come from a different background, different sort of like levels of entrepreneur and leadership experience. And they very much came from a environment where they were within the business more and hustling a little bit more. Whereas like we've been in like the manager role for years and years. And so that's a very hard dynamic to run with because like we just weren't like aligned on a lot of stuff. And their kind of goals with the business were more around a lifestyle business. Whereas for us, it kind of came down to like, why is this taking any of our time and requiring us to get loans and buy flips and do stuff where we could potentially lose or spend money on marketing, where if we're not working it appropriately, it's going to be a waste. And when they wanted to have like the lifestyle piece of it, but also too, like because so many people, you don't necessarily have like the resources, just like hire staff to fill in a lot of the spots. And so there would be gaps in like acquisitions and the dispo and the project management stuff that just didn't really make sense. It was kind of out of our control. Whereas, there was a difference in what the outcome was going to be. So yeah, we just decided to pull the plug. So yeah, we are officially out of the home buying game actually as of tomorrow, October 3rd.
Yeah, man.
So what happens if some of these mailers come in that you probably have already sent out?
That's a great question. And so we're ironing out those details. Our loose plan right now is that, basically for the next 6 months, any stuff that we've sent out previously, we have it all set up for tracking through RSimply. If it comes through, that they close, Dan and I are going to make 20% of the revenue on that. And so that will go up for the next 6 months. After that, it's fair game, go forward into the spring. If somebody calls from something that went out like this past summer and now it's 8 months old, cool. They get it. That's fine. So we'll basically be the benefactor there. Dan and I are also, we spent a hell of a lot of time building out the Collecting Keys brand and the Google reviews and everything else with that prior to partnering with them. And so we're actually selling them that brand as part of the split. So they're going to be
the Backyard Home Buyers brand.
Yeah, buying the Backyard Home Buyers brand and everything that kind of comes with that. So the full infrastructure and everything. And then, like all the deals that we have in progress, we'll just split our standard 25 across the board. But all the stuff that they close after this coming Friday, they'll get the lion's share of, which is fair.
More of the story, Mike and I get asked a lot, like, how are you guys such good partners? How do you do this? We're not good partners. Mike and I are good partners, but we've had a lot of partners over the years, like different. We've tried it all. And not that this was a bad partnership, with they're our friends before and after, and they'll continue to be. I will say, just because I'm a dick, is there's definitely a massive misalignment in work ethic. And so I think that creates issues. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's just like, I don't know. We somehow have figured out how to work really well together. But this was like our, 5th or 6th partner group of people?
Yeah, in various things. We've had a lot. Yeah. Which is funny because like in hindsight, we never really needed that. I think what it was, we were typically looking for bringing on partners. There was people that had a skill that we didn't have, but it wasn't a venture where we didn't quite have the resources to hire like an A player yet. And so you try to bring someone on to be like a partner for that role, but it just has never worked out very well. And I think one of the reasons you and me work out is not long-term.
Yeah, just not long-term. It's like like in this one, we financially gained and benefited for the previous one where we had a couple of partners with our cold calling company when we sold that, we financially benefited. It's like, it gets to a certain point, and then I think what you realize or what we've realized is like, is the scalability of what we want, like the effort that we're going to put into this, worth it, right? Because if you bring on partners, the idea is that they're going to take on the lion's share of that. You would bring on a partner that's an expert in that area so they could take on that. And then if they can't reach, the aspirations of the business, then it's like, okay, maybe it's time to cut ties and, take our gains now before they become losses.
I would say like the big lesson for people is anyone you're looking to partner with, make sure that you're on like the same financial playing field, and that you guys are in a similar financial position, because that does cause issues if certain people are more financially stable than others. Because like what happens is if you have people that like need draws from the business, say when other people don't, that does take away from the ability for the business to grow, which is very challenging. That's one of the reasons, honestly, that our lending business has done so well this year. Is Dan and I, we did not take any personal pay from that company since we started it well over a year ago until this last month in September. That was the first time we ever took money from that business. So we've been working on it essentially for free. We'll collect interest on our money, but that's not really like a ton. That's more like an investment, but points and fees and everything all rolled back into it. So the first time we've made money on it in probably 16 to 17 months. So we worked for free for a year and a half. And then also make sure that your visions and goals for what you're trying to do are actually aligned. And if someone has things in their schedule, in their day, and like the sort of ideal life that just doesn't necessarily align with yours, it's always very easy when you're starting out to be like, oh yeah, that'll be fine. We can compromise on that. Just don't do it. Like if you're not like 100% aligned with what things are going to look like, just don't even bother, because it will end up causing issues down the line. And that can be, you guys both want to be able to, all your partners want to be able to have like a flexible schedule where you can play golf, travel, do whatever, see your family, that's fine. Or you want to all be grinding. And that's like kind of the expectation is you're going to be just like working super hard. Just make sure that everyone's at least on the same wavelength with that. That'll be really, really huge.
Yeah. I mean, I've had 2 failed partnerships, and it's kind of the same thing that you guys are talking about. And you can start aligned, but then it's kind of when you can grow out of that alignment. And that I think was happened to me both times.
If you are a real estate wholesaler and flipper and you want to be around other people that are looking to grow and expand your businesses in this ever-changing economy, then you need to check out our Scale community. Go to collectingkeys.com/scale and you can get all of the details there. But long story short, we are a small, tight-knit little group of serious real estate entrepreneurs that are looking to really make massive income and not just passive income through this ever-changing economy. So if real estate wholesaling and flipping is kind of your thing, go to collectingkeys.com/scale. You can book a call with me in there if you want, and I'd love to see if you'd be a good fit.
I think that's a really valid point, Dylan, is partnerships, I think, very rarely go on forever, and it is okay for you to outgrow partners, for you to outgrow staff members. There's I think it's a Leila Hermosi or Alex, one of them, that's like the person that gets you to 1 million probably isn't the person that gets you to 10, right? And the person that gets you to 10 is definitely not the person that gets you to 100. And that's a really important thing to realize, right? Is it gets very challenging because you develop these relationships, you kind of go through stuff together, but at some point you will eventually reach a position where it just doesn't make sense anymore. I know it's Alex, he has this story he tells a while back. He goes about one of his like early partners, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it's fine. You'll get whatever the business, like I won't really care because I make so much money. It's like, yeah, you say you don't really care until you're writing them a $500,000 check every month for doing fucking nothing.
Yep.
I'm like,
yep. Yep.
100%.
But it can't be purely monetary either. It totally. Can't be, because once you actually get the money, then we could all probably not work as hard as we do, right? Like from a financial standpoint, but we still do it. There's got to be some love of the game in that. And I don't know. I think once people like are money hungry, then they get the money and then they're not hungry anymore.
Yeah. And everyone's like threshold for that is different.
Yep.
And with some people, they reach that and they're good. Whereas I would say if you love the game, like you said, they're done. When you reach that, you want to get better at it. Because like I could very realistically not work for the next like very long time and be fine. But I love it. And that's one of the reasons Dan and I, we've chatted at this a lot. And it's like one of the reasons we get along so well is that honestly, we don't have like a ton of hobbies that are like time consuming, right? And so what do we do with a lot of our time if we're not like, doing sort of family stuff as we're working? We're striving to be better and do stuff. And that's what we like to do, and there's a lot of people that just aren't like that, and that's fine. Or they might enjoy working, but it's not something they spend all their free time doing. Whereas like I do, like my hobbies these days are working out, which takes me 45 minutes to an hour a day. I play pickleball once a week. and I like to play disc golf when the weather's nice. And then like, I'll go on like a ski trip once a year. Like that's it. And then I like to travel. But the thing with the traveling stuff is, Dan's been my partner as I've done trips all around the world. I am very, very rarely disconnected when I'm traveling. I will be on a bus in fucking Thailand answering Slack messages because that is what I like to do. That is how I'm passing the time while I'm traveling through the middle of nowhere in transit.
I want to look at the poverty around you.
Yeah, it's honestly ruined me for other people that when you're trying to do business with them, they're like, well, sorry, I'm traveling. I can't do anything. I'm like, that's not true. I know Mike was in Africa signing documents on properties that we were selling. Like, I'm sure you could figure it out. The internet exists everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
I would add to this conversation too, because another thing Mike and I have talked about in relation to like the hobbies and stuff is, and you see it a lot in GoBundance too, I'm sure, Dylan, is people get like this over obsession on like, I have children, I need to never work, and I need to spend every waking moment with my children to be the best dad ever, and like do all these things outside of, I don't know what it is, like just outside of the ordinary that I think gets too extreme. And with that, their business suffers, and then they keep repeating these mantras like, well, what else are we doing this for? This is why we do these things. And it's like, absolutely.
My unpopular opinion with that, Dan, is that it's a cop-out statement for their lack of accomplishments.
There you go.
Like
100%. I so firmly agree with that too. Like there's so many successful people that are fathers. And I would say that there's definitely a level where you have to give and take, but that level is realistically not achievable for those people. Like those are like the Elon Musk, right? Like the people that have like $100 million companies, they're CEOs and they're traveling on their jet everywhere because that's what they got to do because they're very corporate. But if you're running like a standard business that's doing $1 to $5 million a year, which is very achievable for most people, you can have so much balance in that. Like, honestly, it's really not hard. It just means that you're a poor worker, you're a poor manager, you don't know how to hire, you don't actually know how to be an entrepreneur, which is fine. But like, don't pretend like it's because you need to be present for your kids or that's why you're doing it.
Don't unselfishly put that on your kids.
Yeah,
of course.
And plus, your kids should see you work. They should see you be diligent. They should see you be productive. I could go on my soapbox all day about that.
Totally do. Like they need to understand that, yes, sometimes you do have to make sacrifices to go and be productive. And that's okay. That is a part of life.
Not to change too quickly. When did you guys start? How long were you in the home buying business, off-market business?
So it's going to be almost exactly. So we started in 2019 in November.
This time.
So right now it's October 2025, almost exactly 6 years.
I mean, that's a long time in the off-market space. It really is.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get our final like deal counts. If that actually would be interesting to look back at like what our total like stats. I wonder if we can do like lifelong KPIs, Dan. I know we've jumped across a couple different systems, so that would be tough. That would actually be really interesting. I'll see if I can piece that together.
That's why you track everything in an Excel sheet.
Right.
You can do that.
Mike and I, not only have we done it 6 years, we've done a lot in that. It's like, I feel like our wholesaling years are like dog years. I feel like we've done like 50 years worth of stuff just because we've tried so many different things and like gone after it, tried to scale it this way, scale it that way, this partner, that partner, gone nationwide, started cold calling, texting company. We just did so many things and they all worked out actually pretty reasonably well.
Well, the thing for entrepreneurship and if I'm going to pat you guys on the back, it's one, the work ethic that we talked about, but two, it's resourcefulness. Just being like, I can figure this out. And if that's a trait you need to have in this business, not, I know how to do it.
Totally. And when you're early on in any endeavor, basically just saying yes all the time is such an important thing, whether it's yes to a seller appointment, whether it's yes to answering a phone call, whether it's yes to meeting a new buyer for coffee, or you're making an offer. I think so many people, they get focused on trying to like optimize or like having a calendar or a schedule, all these different things early on. It doesn't make any sense. And like, this is always something like with a handful of the scale people that we've come through that have been like new. And they're like, oh, well, I was going to go walk to that. I just don't know if it's worth it. I don't think that they're going to accept the offer that I need to be at. I'm like, well, how many houses have you walked so far? 2? Then the answer is yes. You should go walk the house just to get your reps in, or just like answer the phone calls. People will be like, man, that person called back. They were angry. I don't think I'm going to call them back. I'm like, you have to call them back.
Yeah. Call them back and then insult them with your offer.
Of course. That's the game, right? And it's like that with every business. Even like with our lending and stuff, we've learned so many lessons with that. Where people are like, well, do you lend on this? I go, sure. let's take a look at it. And then we get into it. I'm like, actually, no, we're not going to do that. I changed my mind. But we didn't even get the opportunity to analyze it and have a discussion and have an educational experience if we would have said no right off the bat. And I think that one of the problems when it comes to like business advice and like business media and news is there's so many people that are like very seasoned entrepreneurs or very successful that have this mental masturbation sort of data or like quotes or whatever that they pass down through their audience that isn't applicable to 95% of people. So much stuff around like efficiency and like, the best entrepreneurs say no to everything that doesn't matter and all this kind of stuff. That doesn't fucking mean anything.
It's like, know your dollar per hour. It's like, bro, your dollar per hour is fucking nothing. You don't have a business yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And just because you sold like one deal one time and made like $5,000 in 30 minutes, that doesn't mean that your dollar per hour is now $10,000, right? The time to get to that was very, very significant.
I guess that's a catch-22. By the time you're a big enough influencer to have an audience, you're probably too big for the people you're trying to resonate with that are at the beginning. I never even would have thought about that. But yeah.
Of course. Well, I think that's where a lot of people like sell out and kind of lose their way. And that's also why you should be extremely skeptical of people that continue to pander to that newbie over and over and over and over again, is because eventually they're going to, like, if they are successful, they will lose touch with those people. At least they should. And if they're not very successful and they're staying out there, you probably don't want to learn from them anyway. Because I was just getting a transition to Ty Lopez.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But I still subscribe to the Bigger Pockets podcast, even though I haven't listened to an episode in I don't know how long. But here's the title from the latest one. You guys will like this. How to invest in real estate on lower income, 50,000 or less. And my initial thought is fucking don't.
Don't like, do it, right? God.
Yeah, like I didn't listen to the podcast, so I don't know what they said, but like,
what bullshit? What do you think that they're pitching in that? I think it's either going to be an FHA loan, house hack into a multifamily, or it's going to be like, you got to do like co-living or like some bullshit, whatever's the fucking buzzword.
It has to be the like house hacking thing. You have no discretionary income to do anything else. So I don't know.
I don't know. There's so many like little I'm going to say get rich quick things, like these little, I don't know, scammy things they're trying to do like that to get in for less or have higher cash flow. The co-living one's so bad. Our good friend, he's really into the co-living thing right now. He's doing great with it. He likes it. Dude, I just can't get behind this. He literally posted a Instagram photo the other day and he's like, here's this new co-living property that we dropped. And he's like, ample parking. And he had a sky view and it's in like a cul-de-sac. And he like had this little drawing of all the cars going all around the house, all around the cul-de-sac, around the block. I'm like, fuck that, so dude. You're fucking ruining that neighborhood for everyone there. Like, why? Why would you do that?
I give him shit about it all the time.
Dylan, let me ask you this. What are the economics on this? Is he cash flowing $1,000 a month and ruining a neighborhood?
I mean, maybe. I mean, according to him, the cash flow is great. And I believe him. Like, Greg's not dumb. Like, he knows this is smart. But like,
no, he's such a smart guy. Yeah.
Is it enough to bring a child molester into the cul-de-sac where there's other kids living there?
I mean, my answer is no, but that's a subjective.
Such a great philosophical question. How much cash flow to you is worth it to make life worse for everyone else around your property?
Yeah, I don't like that.
That can be Section 8. That can be like having these co-living things. This can be like you're doing the sober living.
That's what all the local people say about Airbnb.
Totally, dude. Yeah, Airbnb. Like, yeah, the Oxford houses. Yeah, I take a bunch of meth heads. Oh, but they're clean. No, they're not fucking clean. You're just not catching them getting high. Come on. They're still shooting up around the kids that are riding bikes.
The risk is too high.
Well, and like from the philosophical standpoint, sure, we can make that argument. But two, all your business, like your cash flowing machine could change with the stroke of a pen by somebody else.
Of course.
And so like, just make it a traditional rental. Everyone's still going to need a place to live. Like that's not going away. I don't think tech is going to, these 3D printed homes or the ones that you buy and like fold up and there it's a house. I don't know what it is anymore, but right. I don't think that's happening.
Full of house, completely portable. When I go camping, I just bring my whole house with me. I just fold it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone can do that. That would be a big idea. Like you buy one house in your life. It's like an RV, but it's like a real house. And so then when you want to move to like a new town, you just like fold it up and like bring it with you.
I'm literally thinking like Harry Potter shit right now. Like,
that's what I'd imagine. Yeah, you like press a button. It's like electric blinds or something, it just kind of like shrinks down.
I guess transitioning to the lending business. I know that you guys are doing this full time now. So is there I guess with winding down the old business, does your objectives for the lending business now grow? Like, or does that remain unchanged?
I mean, it grows for sure. But like, I'm going to say like the objectives are already there. the decision to step away from backyard home buyers was driven by the momentum and the goals that we have with the lending business. Like, honestly, I would say the biggest sort of thing, like a confidence booster, comes from when we went to this big conference in Newport Beach at the end of August. And we met like all the who's in the lending world. You know, big names were there, all the CEOs, everything. And we met a lot of these people and we're like, there's no reason we can't be these people. There's dudes like us. And especially since we have like a marketing and sales background, we already have a huge step up on a lot of them just because they don't understand that, right? And a lot of them just come from this position where they kind of just throw money at everything and then it works because they're rich. And if you do throw enough money at stuff, it does produce a return. But we're bringing in like hustle and working on optimizing our systems and like doing things in a way that will allow us to be significantly more efficient with a much smaller team. And already we've started up with some of these different funds and different things with the connections that we made down there. We ran a call with them yesterday and they're like, yeah, you've like in the last 30 days, you've become like our biggest loan provider, right? Just like it's been 30 days and we've done that just because we know how to find business and we have connections and we have a unique skill set that doesn't exist in the industry. And so I think that it's very possible that in the next 18 months, we do more revenue in that business than we did in our wholesaling flipping business combined over the previous 6 years, like very seriously.
Wow. That's a big number. Yeah.
The momentum's there. The industry's there. It's a very challenging industry, I would say, to get into if you don't have experience. We've been able to kind of cut the line just because we do have a track record that a lot of these hedge funds like with the brand and everything that we've done up to this point.
I think that you touched on it, Mike, and I'll just summarize the competitive edge we have is there is no hustle in this business, in the private lending space. It's literally rich dudes or rich hedge fund managers that make a connection with one person to do their work. And that person likes to wear shiny shoes and is like, I'm a private lender. I have $100 billion fund behind me. I mean, you just bump into, there's so many people like that. I mean, that is the vast majority of the industry. So having the little bit of hustle and then understanding the borrower's perspective, which most of them don't because they're coming from the finance side as opposed to the flipper side, which helps understanding what our client wants. So it's just like, oh, simple.
And it's fun. Like for us too, it's a fun business just because we've been a borrower so many times that we know the stuff that needs to be better. And so it's very easy for us to, I would say, identify some of the problems these other companies have and just, we can't promise we won't necessarily have those, but we can damn well try to improve them on our end, right? So.
Well, even on the end of that, like I just got my first loan service through the person who ends up servicing the loan. It was a pretty seamless process. I like the platform. I like the UI.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to keep on optimizing that. So, but yeah, that was kind of like our news for the month, I guess. But yeah, I'll see if I can get our lifetime KPIs together for next week. That would actually be pretty interesting to go over. But yeah, doesn't affect anything necessarily for collecting keys or the podcasting like that. It's funny. I've had several people actually ask me that since this has always been a wholesaling and flipping focused show. But we've been slowly moving towards just like general real estate anyways with this for the last year. So yeah, just a little bit different focus for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool guys. I got to head to this property. So let's wrap it up and
cool.
We'll go.
Good luck.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorMan Dan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.